Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. In this session also we will continue the discussion of the Atmarama verse. Different varieties of Atmaramas, they get attracted to Krishna, they begin to render devotional service, and they achieve the perfection of devotional service. Now the important point here is that even though somebody may be liberated by some other process other than devotional service, they cannot sustain themselves in liberation without engaging in devotional service. The nature of the soul is to be always active. Soul cannot be without activity, though somebody may try to be inactive for some time, but very soon that person who is inactive is forced to begin activity. So the explanation is given here by Lord Chaitanya. Those who are liberated by devotional service become more and more attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna. Thus they engage in his service. Bhakti means devotional service. Prabhupada did not translate bhakti as devotion. He translates bhakti as devotional service, indicating that bhakti means activity, but not ordinary activity, not material activity. It is completely spiritual activity. What kind of spiritual activity it is? It is service to Krishna, serving Krishna, and that is not same as material service rendered to some material person in this world. No. Now Lord Chaitanya is telling those who are liberated by the speculative process, philosophical speculation, jnana marga, eventually fall down again due to offensive activity. Now there is a statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says this, how those who are not engaged in devotional service of Krishna, even though they are liberated, they fall down. They don't sustain their existence on the liberated platform. So what is that statement in the Bhagavatam? O lotus-eyed one, this is a prayer offered by the Devatas to Krishna when he was in the womb of Mother Devaki, and the Devatas were offering wonderful prayers to Krishna in the womb of Devaki, Garbhastuti, it's called, 10th canto, 2nd chapter. So there it is said by the Devatas, O lotus-eyed one, they are addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna. Those who think they are liberated in this life but are without devotional service to you are of impure intelligence. Although they accept severe austerities and penances and rise to the spiritual position, to impersonal Brahman realization, they fall down again because they neglect to worship your lotus feet. There has to be some engagement after liberation. If there is no engagement after liberation, due to inactivity, one becomes very much disturbed in the mind. And eventually, such a person, without taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, cannot engage in spiritual activity. So, what will the person do? The person will come down to material activity, and that's called a fall down. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains what is the position of a person who is transcendentally situated on the Brahman platform. What is the actual position? Krishna says, one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. This is a progressive transcendentalist who comes to the Brahman platform and then is able to experience freedom from lamentation and hankering, and is able to see with spiritual vision equality of all living beings, even though they may be situated in different bodies. They are ultimately spirit souls, spiritual beings. Such a person becomes completely joyful and realizes the Supreme Brahman. Brahman realization may also mean that I am of the same quality as the absolute truth. I am also Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. But when one is factually situated on the transcendental platform, by elevation through gradual elevation through spiritual processes, when one actually comes to the transcendental platform, one is able to realize the Supreme Brahman, distinctly the Lord, different from the individual soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in that state, one attains pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. One becomes a devotee. And what happens? One who has attained his constitutional position by strength of devotional service. What is his constitutional position? We are originally Krishna conscious beings. So that is called our constitutional position. And by strength of devotional service, one is able to attain a transcendental body even in this lifetime. Jivan Mukta, liberated from material bondage, and attains a transcendental form. What is a transcendental form? That is actually our original spiritual form, which is actually covered presently by this material body and mind, material mind. So, by elevating to the spiritual platform through devotional service, one attains a transcendental body. And being attracted by Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities, one fully engages in service at his lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet is the ultimate shelter for everyone. Krishna accommodates everybody. But to aim at the lotus feet of Krishna is possible only by engaging properly in devotional service to Krishna. Then further, Bhagavatam explains the position of a person in this material world who opposes Krishna consciousness due to this material influence. One becomes conditioned and fearful due to the influence of Maya. Material existence means influence of Maya, the material energy. And that influence is such that one becomes fearful. Material existence means fear, bhayam. It is a concomitant factor of material existence. That means, in the material existence, under the influence of Maya, one cannot avoid fear. People sometimes, they say, I am fearless, I am bold. But that is all under the illusion that I am safe, or I am powerful, I am happy, I have got good protection against all dangers, etc., etc. But all these are a temporary position. This is a temporary position because Maya is constantly changing. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha. And in this changing situation, suddenly some material calamity, natural calamity may afflict a person who's otherwise thinking I am very safe. Or suddenly some enemy may attack. Suddenly something may happen which can change our situation. A person has heart attack and completely becomes fearful. Now what is to be done? So, by executing devotional service faithfully, one is liberated from Maya. Indeed, there is no other way to get factual liberation from Maya other than executing faithfully bhakti, yoga, devotional service to Krishna. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, 14th verse, he says, this divine energy of mind consisting of the three material modes of nature, three guna, sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna, they are the components of the influence of the material energy called Maya, which influences us in such a way that we cannot overcome the material influence by our own strength, by our own endeavor. Not possible. Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. But Krishna also says, those who have surrendered unto me, mam eva ye prapadyante, Mayam etam tarantite, they can easily cross beyond the influence of this material energy. So the conclusion of all these statements is that one cannot attain liberation without rendering devotional service. Liberation is possible only by devotional service. Technically, somebody may think I am liberated by merging into impersonal Brahman. Or technically, somebody may think I am liberated by meditating on Paramatma. But factual liberation, real liberation, complete liberation, perfect liberation is possible only by becoming fixed up in devotional service. So there is a statement like that in the Bhagavatam also, which says, devotional service unto the Supreme Lord is the only auspicious path. If one gives it up simply for speculative knowledge or the understanding that these living beings are spirit souls and the material world is false, then such a person undergoes a great deal of trouble. He only gains troublesome and inauspicious activities. His actions are like beating a husk that is already devoid of grain. His labor becomes fruitless. This is a statement by Lord Brahma when he offers prayers to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Somebody may think this material world is false. We have nothing to do with this material world. and engages in cultivation of knowledge through speculation. And through this method, they may think I have become liberated because I have realized I am Brahman and I have merged myself into the existence of Brahman as the absolute truth. So, such people, they are actually simply undergoing so much of difficulty due to severe austerities. They do not get real liberation by such a process. Real liberation is described that taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna and being fixed in devotional service to him. That is real liberation. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.